play at a high level, whatever sport it may be, you have to be willing to fail at that high level. Otherwise, you won't reach there and you won't be able to get those stepping stones. And it's a place where you can kind of figure out who you are and almost of what you're made of. And you realize, like when your brain tells you you're going to die and you realize, after you get your butt kicked, you're still alive and, you still love your sport and just continue to, move forward. I think that's something that's really obviously great about sports. And with that, what do you think, in your opinion, is the most important aspect for coaches to really like help them step into, creating an environment that, reminding them that failure is a part of success? Because I think sometimes, like we kind of mentioned earlier in the podcast, that we can get caught up in the victories or in wanting to get victories, stack victories, especially when we've lost 3 or 4 games in a row.
Yeah, I think we have to let our athletes fail and help them learn, help them let's pick that apart. Let's see what happened. And I think a part of it too is, how do you build momentum on the other side? Like, how do you start? We talked about building confidence, but it's like the little things, because even within every game that's lost, it's like there's still some things that you did well there. And so how do we not just see it as like, oh, we lost the game, it's a total fail, like that sucked, let's just not look at it. And that's what a lot of times what happens is we just don't want to look at it because we don't want to sit in the feelings of it and we don't want to acknowledge it. But there's actually probably a lot that goes well when we're failing. And so can we pick pieces of it that actually were a success and continue to build that momentum and use that as energy to propel ourselves forward? But I think the most important thing for coaches and for parents is we have to actually let people fail and experience it. That was one of the crazy things of coaching in the Power 5 is you have every single safety net. It's you have someone that follows you around and makes sure you go to class, you don't fail out of school. You finish your race, we hand you a towel. We travel to a meet, you get off the plane, you get a sandwich. You don't have to take your food. You forget your suit, oh, someone hands you a suit. It's there are systems in place so that you literally could not fail. And I really reflected on that. This is not setting people up for life post-sport, because every single thing in your life is taken care of. And I think that's amazing. It's amazing that we can support people in that way. But at the same time, the other side of that is there's so much of a safety net that we can't experience failure. We can't actually learn the lesson of, oh, I forgot my suit at home, I should probably prepare better and bring a suit the next time. I didn't bring the food that I needed, or I didn't bring what I needed to support my performance. I should probably figure that out for myself the next time, instead of making sure that we don't mess anything up, or we try to do it perfectly.
Wow, that's a really good point, and really pivotal, especially for the parents, right? If your kid forgets their uniform or forgets their lunch, and it was their responsibility, maybe don't bring it to them, because maybe the next day they're going to actually learn that lesson versus, teaching them that, hey, the lunch is always going to come no matter what, so I don't really need to bring it, right? And that may be an oversimplification of it, but those do have ramifications as we go on as leaders and taking responsibility for our own, mistakes. And it's okay. We all make mistakes. I always, tell my athletes I make mistakes when I make substitutions and, run the wrong drill, right? But that's just we have to learn from it and kind of move on. And one of the things, the last, kind of ending towards the end of our podcast is you talked about feelings and letting ourselves feel our feelings and getting back to that. I think especially as, a male coach who works with male athletes, and this may be sort of a systemic question, right? But what is like feeling our feelings look like? Because it is so easy to just go when I'm tired or when I like, I feel off. I'm like, Instagram, right? Like I feel uncomfortable. Like I don't want to, I'm bored, but it's so important for us to sit with those feelings. So kind of what does that look like to handle those feelings in a healthy way?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important for both men and women, probably men even more so, because there's, I think, more of a stigma around it. But I think so many people just end up struggling on their own, not having the tools to talk about feelings. And again, I think that it comes from this fear around emotions. Like there's so much, I've talked to different people in leadership development at higher level schools where they're like, oh no, you can't talk to them about feelings or emotions. And it's like, with what I do, I think that, yeah, there's a space for trauma and PTSD and like getting the proper support, but there also is just being safe in your emotions, like being able to cry, being able to express. And so I think a lot of times our emotions are so unprocessed because we do have so many distractions. So, it's like instead of feeling the sadness of a game or the sadness of anything in your life, a breakup or something that's hard in your personal life, what do we go to is like the numbing resources, and we press all of these emotions down. And so they're just kind of stored in our body. And then the body can be in fight or flight because of it. Like we're totally dysregulated. We're not able to be present. And a lot of the overthinking loops that we're stuck in, I find, are a result of underfeeling. Like overthinking is a lack of feeling because the brain's trying to keep you safe from that emotion. And so finding a way to process that with ourselves, just, sometimes you could take your phone out. Maybe don't take your phone out because we're trying to use that less, but just recording a voice memo to yourself, like talking out loud about how you're feeling, journaling it out in a journal, like what's happening. I'm feeling really frustrated because this happened. And the first part, I think, is just really validating how we're feeling, like not making ourselves wrong or trying to fix it, just being in it before we try to shift anything, before we try to change our thoughts about it. But also just developing, like I use meditation practice, mindfulness practices, training our nervous system to calm down and to be present and to come back to our breath. When we're breathing and we learn how to breathe again, which is like through our diaphragm, really, a lot of us we're like all day breathing wrong, creating stress. So just really learning how to breathe again. So something simple is like the box breath, which you breathe in through your nose for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 4, hold for 4. And the Navy SEALs use this. A lot of NFL players use this to just bring your nervous system back from that sympathetic activation, which will actually slow your thoughts down. So yeah, there's a lot of tools that you can use, but really just slowing things down, creating safety in the body, being able to process what's happening, even communicating it with a friend, being able to reach out and ask for help, which I think a lot of athletes, we don't like to do that because we like to be tough and do things on our own. But, having the courage to say, hey, I'm struggling and I just want to talk about a few things.